staff came in the office, and he just looked really frightened. And he said, "I've got to talk to you." He said, "They think there are sensitive documents in there that the president should have access to. They know the Brookings won't give them up, so they want me to arrange to have somebody firebomb the place, then send burglars into the place after the alarms go off and extract these papers." So we could have well had the Brookings affair instead of the Watergate affair had history played just a little bit differently.
It's speculation, but it's sensible speculation, that if he'd been concerned to find out what was in the Brookings Institution files about that, so concerned that he ordered a break in there, then that could well have been the reason for the Watergate break-ins, to find out what they had on him.
The Watergate scandal began in 1972 during a presidential election campaign which Nixon was certain to win. Burglars linked to the White House were arrested breaking into the Watergate complex to place bugs in the Democratic Party's election headquarters. They had targeted the office of the chairman, Larry O'Brien.
Larry O'Brien had been briefed in 1968 on the Republican interference with the peace initiative, and O'Brien might have really compromising information on what he'd done in 1968.
In 1972, the contradictions in Richard Nixon's career and character collided. In the year of Watergate, he became the first US president to visit China. In Moscow, he signed a nuclear arms treaty on the very night the burglars were casing the Watergate. Within 2 years, Congress would prepare to impeach the president, but this year, Nixon crowned a year of foreign policy triumphs by addressing both houses of Congress.
An almost unbelievable irony that the break-in was occurring at the same time of this tremendous foreign policy triumph. It was so unnecessary.
The President of the United States.
There you go again.
Thanks to Nixon, the world seemed a safer place. But it would be another year before America's war in Vietnam was over.
This administration has no higher goal, a goal that I know all of you share, than bringing the Vietnam War to an early and honorable end. We are ending the war in Vietnam, but we shall end it in a way which will not betray our friends, risk the lives of the courageous Americans still serving in Vietnam, break faith with those held prisoners by the enemy, or stain the honor of the United States of America.
In the 4 years since Nixon had become president, over 20,000 American soldiers were killed and 111,000 had been wounded. Their names are among those engraved on the wall of the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington. The wall does not name the more than 600,000 Vietnamese soldiers on both sides who died in that time. On the day of his own funeral, it looked as if Nixon had won his last political victory. Forced to resign over the Watergate scandal, Nixon had spent the rest of his life trying to resurrect his tarnished reputation.
I think Nixon was a distinguished president and much less political than many of those who followed him. What would have happened if the establishment that he both feared and revered had shown him some love? Would that have liberated him from his resentment, or would it have driven him deeper into his isolation? And I left the question open.
On behalf of all 4 former presidents who are here. May the day of judging President Nixon on anything less than his entire life and career come to a close.
In his inauguration speech, Nixon had said, "The greatest title history can bestow is that of peacemaker." They chose that as his epitaph.